Welcome, future biologists. Today, we embark on an exciting journey into the utilization of digested food. You've learned how food breaks down, but what happens next? How does that sandwich become energy for your run, or the building blocks for your growing muscles? We'll uncover these secrets across 4 levels: easy, medium, hard, and hardest, delving deeper into the amazing processes that fuel your body. Get ready to explore. Let's start with the basics. What happens right after your food is fully digested? First comes absorption. Imagine tiny sponges in your small intestine, called villi. These villi absorb the small, simple nutrient molecules like glucose from carbohydrates, amino acids from proteins, and fatty acids from fats and pass them into your bloodstream or lymphatic system. It's like a transport system, carrying these vital ingredients all over your body. Once absorbed, the real work begins as your cells start to use them. This usage by your cells is called assimilation. So, what do your cells do with these nutrients? They're used for 3 main things: energy, growth, and storage. Glucose is your body's main fuel, powering all activities from thinking to running. Amino acids are the building blocks for new cells, repairing damaged tissues, and making essential enzymes. And finally, excess nutrients like glucose and fats are stored for later, like glycogen in your liver or fat under your skin, ready for when you need them. For example, the glucose from a banana gives your muscles energy to run. Time for some quick questions to check your understanding of the easy level. What is the process called when absorbed nutrients are used by body cells? Which nutrient is the primary source of energy for your body? And where is excess glucose stored in the body? Ready to dive a bit deeper? Let's explore the specific roles of different nutrients after they've been assimilated. After digestion, simple sugars, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals enter your bloodstream directly from the small intestine. Fats, broken down into fatty acids and glycerol, take a slightly different route through the lymphatic system before joining the blood. Once in circulation, these nutrients are ferried to every cell, ready to be put to work. This transport system ensures that all parts of your body receive the necessary components for their functions. Glucose, our main energy source, is taken up by cells and goes through cellular respiration to produce ATP, the energy currency. Excess glucose isn't wasted, it's converted into glycogen in your liver and muscles for quick energy reserves, or into fat for longer-term storage. Amino acids, the protein building blocks, are used to make new proteins for growth, repair, enzymes, hormones, and antibodies. Any excess amino acids are deaminated by the liver, meaning their nitrogen part is removed and converted to urea for excretion. Fats, broken into fatty acids and glycerol, are primarily used for concentrated energy storage in adipose tissue. They also form essential parts of cell membranes, provide insulation, and protect your organs. Some hormones, like sex hormones, are also derived from lipids. Finally, vitamins and minerals, though not energy sources, are vital for regulating countless body processes. For instance, vitamin D helps absorb calcium, and iron is crucial for carrying oxygen in your blood. Now, let's test your knowledge on the medium-level concepts. Where are fatty acids and glycerol primarily absorbed? What is the main function of ATP in the body? Which organ is responsible for deaminating excess amino acids? Name 2 structural components formed from amino acids. And what is the primary role of adipose tissue? Alright, let's elevate our understanding. Prepare for some more intricate details of nutrient utilization. The utilization of digested food is governed by intricate metabolic pathways, broadly categorized into anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism refers to constructive processes, building complex molecules from simpler ones, like synthesizing proteins from amino acids or glycogen from glucose. These processes require energy. Catabolism, on the other hand, involves breaking down complex molecules into simpler ones, releasing energy, such as the breakdown of glucose during cellular respiration. These two processes are constantly balanced within your cells. The liver stands as the body's central metabolic hub, performing numerous vital roles. It's crucial for glucose homeostasis, converting glucose to glycogen for storage and releasing it when blood sugar drops. The liver also deaminates excess amino acids, converting toxic ammonia into urea for excretion. Furthermore, it synthesizes cholesterol, lipoproteins, and can even convert excess carbohydrates and proteins into fats. Its detoxification capabilities are also paramount, processing drugs and toxins that enter the body. Remarkably, your body can interconvert different types of nutrients. For example, excess carbohydrates can be efficiently converted into fats for long-term storage. Similarly, amino acids, after their nitrogen group is removed, can be transformed into glucose or fats. However, fats cannot be easily converted back into glucose in large quantities, which is why the brain relies heavily on glucose. This adaptability ensures your body can manage nutrient intake effectively. Hormones like insulin and glucagon play critical roles in regulating these conversions and maintaining energy balance. Let's challenge ourselves with these hard-level questions. Differentiate between anabolism and catabolism with an example for each. Describe the major roles of the liver in nutrient metabolism. Explain how the body can convert excess carbohydrates into fats. What is the role of insulin in glucose metabolism? Why is the liver considered the metabolic hub of the body? What is gluconeogenesis, and when does it occur? And finally, how do thyroid hormones influence nutrient utilization? You've made it to the hardest level. Here, we'll dissect the cellular and biochemical intricacies of how your body truly leverages every bit of digested food. At the core of energy utilization is cellular respiration, a multi-stage process. Glycolysis, occurring in the cytoplasm, is the initial breakdown of glucose into pyruvate. This yields a small amount of ATP and electron carriers. Next, in the mitochondrial matrix, pyruvate derivatives enter the Krebs cycle, further oxidizing carbon compounds and generating more ATP, NAD, and FADH2. Finally, the electron transport chain on the inner mitochondrial membrane uses these electron carriers to produce the vast majority of ATP through oxidative phosphorylation, truly making the mitochondria the powerhouses of the cell. Protein metabolism involves a continuous cycle of protein turnover, where proteins are synthesized and degraded. This ensures that damaged proteins are replaced and that amino acids are available for new protein synthesis. Nitrogen balance, the difference between nitrogen intake and excretion, is a key indicator of protein status, reflecting growth or breakdown. Lipid metabolism goes beyond simple storage. Beta oxidation efficiently breaks down fatty acids into acetyl-CoA for energy, while lipogenesis synthesizes fats from excess nutrients. Lipoproteins like LDL and HDL are crucial for transporting lipids throughout the body, each with distinct roles in health and disease. Nucleic acids, digested into nucleotides, are vital for synthesizing new DNA and RNA, essential for cell division, gene expression, and protein synthesis. These nucleotides also form critical coenzymes and ATP, the universal energy currency. Micronutrients like vitamins and minerals are indispensable. B vitamins, for instance, act as coenzymes in crucial metabolic pathways, facilitating enzyme activity. Iron is integral to hemoglobin for oxygen transport, and calcium is vital for bone structure and nerve function, highlighting the specific and diverse roles of these trace elements in maintaining physiological integrity. Disruptions in these intricate utilization pathways can lead to severe metabolic disorders. Diabetes mellitus, for instance, results from impaired glucose utilization due to insulin issues. Phenylketonuria, a genetic disorder, impacts amino acid metabolism. The body also displays remarkable adaptive metabolism. During starvation, it shifts from glucose to fat and then protein as primary fuel sources to preserve essential functions, especially for the brain. Conversely, chronic overnutrition leads to excessive fat storage and conditions like obesity, which can trigger a cascade of metabolic dysfunctions. Now, for the ultimate challenge. Here are the first 5 questions for the hardest level. Describe the main events and location of the 3 stages of aerobic cellular respiration. Explain the concept of protein turnover and its significance in maintaining cellular function. Detail the process of beta oxidation and its role in energy production. What are lipoproteins and what are the primary functions of LDL and HDL? And how do B vitamins typically function in metabolic pathways? And here are the remaining 5 questions to truly test your advanced understanding. Besides energy, name 2 other crucial roles of nucleotides in the body. Explain the concept of nitrogen balance and what a positive nitrogen balance indicates. Differentiate between lipogenesis and lipolysis. Briefly explain the metabolic adaptation the body undergoes during prolonged starvation. And finally, describe how a disorder like phenylketonuria, PKU, relates to the utilization of digested food. You've journeyed through the incredible world of nutrient utilization, from basic absorption to complex metabolic pathways. If you're hungry for more knowledge and want to master biology, visit synapse.omaps.in for more engaging content and practice. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates and more fascinating lessons. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing.